Hello, hey, how are you? A couple of weeks ago, I got the opportunity to talk to the lead writer of Portal Stories, Mel. It turns out he had seen my video from a few months ago and offered to show me a few fun secrets in the game and give me context for some others. He was also kind enough to answer a few questions I had, as well as agreeing to me recording them.
Yeah, so go to the Aperture Cola machine up ahead. You have Aperture Cola, Repulsion Soda, which is the blue gel. There's caffeine decaf, but then right below that is Citranium Soda. That's a reference back to Aperture Tag. Citranium Soda sponsored all the tests
I
in Aperture
see.
Tag, and several of the team members worked on Tag as well, and included Citranium as a nod on the Coke machines.
I guess I did want to ask, like, how you guys even sort of found each other. Because, you got such a diverse cast here.
Some of the details are hazy to me because remember this is about 10 years ago at this
Oh, yeah,
point.
yeah, it's sometime.
There was at one point, Mel was not originally run by LP Freaky. It was run by two guys, Andy and James. I forget what their online handles were, but they're mentioned in the special thanks at the end. They then
Right.
turned the project over to LP Freaky, who once she had a control of it, she took it to new heights that just were insane and incredible and got us to where we are now. LP Freaky and Miss Stabby know each other in real life beforehand. They brought on Lone Wolf, who did the Math Pack Destroyed Aperture, which became very popular within the Steam workshop. At that same time, LP Freaky was on a project called Portal 2 Backstock that I was the writer on, and I got asked to join the writing team for Mel from there because she saw what I was writing over there, liked it, and pulled me over.
Oh, interesting.
Back in the day, there was a lot of sharing assets among teams. Like, if you worked on one mod, you tended to work on a couple other ones with the same people.
Yeah, yeah, especially early on. Like, because there weren't that many, so everybody it was a small enough community, I'd imagine that.
Yeah, you had the occasional person who worked on one thing or another, or like they had their project. Like Lamar, he was making Portal 2 Repercussions, and that was kind of his thing. I don't know the status of the project now. I think he unfortunately has stopped working on it. But he was then asked to come over and provide some particle effects and animations for us. I think he rigged the crane,
The one that falls,
if I
is
remember
it? The one
correctly.
that. The big set piece?
Yeah. hmm
There's the car I
And
was
there
talking
goes our
about.
car.
Yeah.
Everybody always tries to run to the car and see if they can catch it. You never will. Portal 2, especially when we were working, did not have the extended code base that we now work with in the Portal 2 extended versions that people now work in. Limitations that Valve made to streamline the engine also resulted in limitations on what people could work in writing their stories, because there's no human AI in the game at all.
Right. Yeah, it's only the
So
cores.
the only things you can work with were a set of animations for the cores, and plus their pathfinding on the management rails, and some form of evil AI. Whereas if you look like at Portal 1, because it was considered more of a test project or a proof of concept, you can spawn in, as everybody knows, all the Half-Life 2 stuff very easily.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas Portal 2 was streamlined so that it could function as they needed it to be.
I mean, it works, for all the mods and spin off stories that people come up with, such as Mel, that the fact that there's no human AI feeds into this idea that in all of these you feel alone because it's such a sprawling complex that even if we know there's multiple people like Mel, like shell, like from other mods, you just wouldn't come across them. I guess that works.
Yeah, it's a situation where the game design, of course, fed into the story, which then fed into the atmosphere of that story. But then turning around and trying to do something new within it becomes a lot more difficult.
And even like one of the biggest things I had to talk about in the video, the moving cars. Not just the car asset, but the fact that one of them is actually moving. I can't even imagine how difficult that would have been to make something like that.
There's also ways that you can kind of fudge things. I won't get into the specifics of that, but since you have the ability to move objects around in world space, you could map how a car would move. It's sort of how the same technology works for the, moving platforms in Portal 2 or
I see,
the trains. When I say we thought we had limitations, that's more like in regards to the fact we didn't have human AI, or that we didn't have certain things that the Half-Life 2 engine build had. But, basic things like pushing trigger pushes, or...
I mean it more in the sense that you just wouldn't really see it in that video game, so it was just something that you had to come up with. You had to find a way to do that using what was, because you don't really, there's no cars in the original Portal game.
Nope, there aren't.
So you just sort of have to come up with how mechanically you're going to make that happen for the game with what you have.
Thankfully, it was easier than people realize, but there we go. Now go to the train board.
Right, this one.
Now look at the ones that are crossed out. Now there's one in particular.
Oh, I didn't even notice it. It's funny because if you think about it, actually, Portal 2 is a glorified just tour through the Portal history.
Well, it's a 5-chapter game, so it's actually 25% of it, but either way.
Is it? I swear it feels like it's mostly that.
Well, that's also because a lot of times, what happened was a lot of times people latched onto that as an aesthetic in their maps.
Yeah, no, that is...
Like, where does Mel start?
Yeah. Which again, I don't know how you guys made that. I would be curious if you have anything to say to that that's more than just, oh, well, we made the assets. There's a lot of new assets and unique assets in that part of the video game.
There's actually a lot more than people realize, because if you think about it, back in the 1950s, all that stuff is clean, right?
Yeah.
It's not all dingy and taken over by moss and mold. That had to be recreated by hand. So all those nice clean wood panel textures and those famous white and black crosses that are near the tops of the walls, those are all, we made those based on the original ideas that were in the base game. But back to the point we were talking about before, that's actually one of my favorite parts of Mel itself, that we were able to recreate a clean old Aperture. It's a subtle detail, and a lot of people don't pay attention to it, but the fact that we went and did it...
Yeah. I do want to, I mentioned it in the video, it would be great to hear it from you directly. I don't know if you want to put it in the video if you like the magic about it, so let me know. But I would like to know, how did you guys come up with a tram section, knowing that in Portal 2 they mentioned that the Olympians and the war heroes and everybody was brought in with limousines?
Yeah, so that actually derives a bit from the fact that there was an underground railway that was in Aperture Science, even by Test Shaft 9.
Okay. But that's your interpretation, because again, I'm not sure if they ever spoke about it in the game, that they would transport.
They do.
The actual test subjects.
They do. They speak about that in the game, but that's also by the point where things have been a lot more set up for everybody. We're entering Aperture Science at a time when it was not fully complete yet, as implied by watching the testing spheres being built in the mine shafts itself, which we took that to mean, this is our own implication of it, we took that to mean that they took people to these facilities in limousines when everything was nice and glitzy and glamorous. Everything was nicely built up for everybody.
You're saying that in your interpretation, so much would have evolved within those first, like, what, 3-4 years, that the limousines would have been phased out.
Well, they would have been phased. They would have
in
been phased in, because when you're commuting this stuff early on in 1952, in our version of it, things are still being built, so that would have come later. The
Right. So
limousines.
you're saying, oh, I understand. So you're saying this was actually before of the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of the actual. You're saying that this would have been before that.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we also have the
Interesting.
younger Cave Johnson portrait, like younger than the 1950s
Yeah.
portrait that was in the game. So we took that to mean by being in 52, things could be a little looser. That they would have a bronze medal Olympian come in on a temporary train, walk through the facility, and get down to the temporary testing offices.
And was it by any chance intentional that it would be more similar to Half-Life introduction than Portal?
I'll answer that question with a question. What do you think? Look up into the booth up there. Hi, person. No one sees her.
Which one, sorry?
No, I mean Mel. No one sees Mel.
Right.
Ergo, how would they know that something went wrong? Because people always wonder how that happened.
Yeah,
And that's
I
kind of a
wondered
subtle
that.
indication why.
I did wonder that because I forget how I put it in the video, but I mentioned the fact that, you know, this idea that either she was abandoned or was she left there intentionally, because obviously they had to evacuate, and it was in relation to the alarms that you hear.
That's because the test goes wrong.
So you're saying that the alarms are actually tied to the test? Because I theorized on whether it was actually to do with the, you know, two big events of Portal.
It has nothing to do with the events. That's the test going wrong.
Right. Okay. So that whole part of the video I need to go back and re-upload, remove that.
No, you can leave it as it is, and this can just be sort of a follow-up. This is one of our oldest maps.
Is it this one?
Yeah. I remember this way back when.
So you came up with this one before you came up with the previous segment, or?
Gonna be honest, I don't exactly remember the sequencing, but I know this is one of our oldest ones.
Those turrets, by the way, also custom made, right? I don't remember seeing them.
Yeah, they were an asset that was made to be shared between Tag and Portal Stories Mill.
Right.
Famously, they were supposed to have Mobster voices recorded by Harry Callaghan. But again, things with the turrets are hard-coded into the game, and we were not able to implement the voices without making all the turret voices do that.
Okay, I see. It makes sense. It would have been a fun addition.
Oh, it would have been... Everyone would have loved the Mobster voices, but just couldn't happen that way, unfortunately. There's a little secret that I'm going to tell you here, because it's not... You really can't see this, because, you know, we hid... There's a way to ensure you don't see triggers in game, of course, but the way that actually starts the final video where you go into the Aegis core is listed as press E to hire us, Valve. You'll never actually see that because it's just listed as the trigger. But that was a funny thing we... By we, I mean, I think it was LP Freaky threw into that one. We did receive some assistance when projected textures broke at one time during one of their updates.
So you're saying you worked with Valve? Guess is what you're saying.
Everyone always says, oh yeah, we worked with Valve and that's how it's... No. What actually happened was one update, I forget exactly when this occurred, I think it was like 2014. Valve accidentally released an update that was focusing on their Portal 2 co-op mode that broke projected textures and music. And Portal Stories Mel uses a lot of projected textures. We saw it because we started working a lot with projected textures, so we contacted Valve and we heard back from one of their more lower level mappers, Dave, David White, that's his name.
Right.
He said that he wasn't sure exactly how to replicate the problem, but he then released a patch which fixed music and textures and projected textures in Portal 2.
So we can thank him for the fact that Portal Stories Mel actually came out. He was. You should have put him in the credits.
He is in the special thanks as part of the Valve
perfect.
section. We always made sure to thank who had some involvement in some manner. That is a working jukebox, by the way.
What? A jukebox? Oh, it actually works. I never interacted with it. And what is what
Harry
does it
wrote a
play?
little jazz tune.
Oh, okay. Is it part of the OST? I don't know if
I don't believe it is. It only exists here.
Right. That's fun. Yeah. No, I didn't even realize that it would be functional. Didn't think that would be functional. Again, so much stuff that you guys did not have to make all of this.
In real life, I'm now a college professor teaching music.
That's some journey, I gotta say, from I guess video game development to teaching music.
I was always more a music guy anyway. Like, I remember that jazz tune that appears in Mel?
Yeah.
I wrote that. The whole idea was I wrote that into the script.
Right.
As a piece of diegetic music that we could then reference at the end.
Who was the main composer?
That was Harry.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the video, but it's been some time now, and I don't have the credits in front of me right now, but yeah. Did you guys work together? Because I'm guessing if you had a background in music, yeah.
I didn't work on any of the score past Time and Time Again.
Right.
I had no involvement with Harry, because Harry basically kind of worked on his own with that score. When it comes to actually like scoring things, it usually, unless you're working directly with somebody you've worked with for years, like as a writing partner, it usually is better just to kind of do it yourself. And Harry understands the synthesizers that were used, or at least approximating them in his DAW than I was able to work with, because like I'm a classical composer. I write with real people in mind, so me writing in a DAW, I can do that, like I want to do film scoring, but more often than not, I choose not to, because I'd rather write for live performance.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Oh, right, you can't answer.
Crazy that you still remember those voice lines even 10 years later.
Well, considering I wrote them, and I wrote them actually specifically for Stig. We really didn't have auditions for Virgil. I wrote the thing with Stig in mind, his cadence, his voice.
Right. So you already know that he was gonna be the voice actor.
Well, as I was starting, I was realizing as well, oh, this actually would work amazingly well in Stig's voice. And I've worked with Stig a whole bunch before. We're really close friends. He's actually sung some of my music. He was a baritone at the time, and now he's a tenor.
Don't worry about the heights. Had a few of my scientists make what's called long-fall
I mean, Aperture Science Innovators, long-fall boots. It's easier to think of than I thought.
How would you explain that?
She had them coming in.
But aren't long fall boots Aperture invention?
If you actually look at the Mel model, when you see it in the portal, you'll see that they're actually a pair of big, like, spring things that wouldn't work on your legs for real life.
Well, just like long fall boots wouldn't. But...
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it as, like, even really more like 1950s impractical, like, huge spring and piston, we just made the assumption that Aperture would have something equivalent, kind of like how they have the quantum tunneling device. I do not remember who did this, but someone suggested that paperclip on the end. No one remembers who did that. No one, but it just makes it so characteristic.
It is the modeling on the gun is...
That was Miss Stabby, and she's incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody gets stuck here.
It is I mean, obviously to have it as a first puzzle
And because it's designed to tell you, yeah, maybe you need to start thinking a little more outside your initial space.
Also because, obviously in all the other Portal games, it's sort of done for you for a while. All the portaling and everything, so to have a puzzle straight away where it's, there you go, there you are, go figure it out. I did say that this game assumes, obviously coming off the back of Portal 2, that you already know how it works.
Yeah, we don't
and what
need to
have
reteach
do.
you anything when you've already... If you're playing this, you've already played Portal 2 at some point. So it gives us the opportunity to kind of go forward from there.
But it is well designed in terms of how it falls in, you know, because it doesn't... I'd imagine it takes some time to come up with the actual level design and make it work, but not feel too intentional.
That's the joy of LP, Lone Wolf, and T-Mast, the main mappers. Oh, yeah, one thing about... Remember the one test where the ending says that it was built by two particularly cruel scientists?
Yeah, right, yeah.
That's me referencing LP and Lone Wolf very obliquely, because they've had a lot of fun making distinctly hard puzzles. Turn around.
Oh, stay tuned. I didn't even realize this.
T-Mast, you're fired.
How did you... Was it just... Because I'm always interested to how you would come in, or people writing scripts would come in with jokes like this. Is there any chance that you made a typo in the script and then thought, you know what?
That was the Berlin-Nuremberg thing. That was my mistake.
Did you initially not intention it to be an alternate history thing?
No, I just messed up because I felt the cadence of 1936 Nuremberg Olympics.
But stay tuned is you just came up with this.
That's a funny in-team joke. The tram ride map originally had a lot of detailing done by T-Mast, and one of the decals he put up was an earlier version of this decal. I don't know when we found this, but I think it was myself and LP on a Skype call. We saw it and we just started busting out laughing.
And you don't know if it was intentional or was it...
Oh, it was not intentional at all. T-Mast just mistyped. That's also why on his developer screen in the credits, there's that same exact station. Oh, I wanted to address that. Walk through the portals again.
Right, this thing.
So what that actually is the particles in the gun moving to where the gun's position is. There's a point where they were before, and then it has to jump to the new point. We like an in-lore joke that the gun is leaking cosmic ray spallation or something like that.
The gun is leaking.
That's also where we got the whole black hole gonna blow up in the gun. Because this thing is barely working. 3, 2, 1. When that was first implemented, nobody knew it was set that loud.
I see.
So it would scare everybody.
Yeah.
It would even scare the other map makers when they played through it. So he left it that loud just to scare the living crap out of the player.
It is a jump scare. You should have added the horror tag just because of that on Steam.
Yeah, that might have been a little too much.
It would have brought in a whole new community of players. The Cry of Fear players.
Yeah.
Which is funny that I referenced Cry of Fear. Who from this team worked on Cry of Fear?
Stig and myself. I was pulled in like last minute to voice the cops in the multiplayer mode.
Right. The meme mode, is it?
Yeah, I'm the meme cops, I'm the meme.
That's a video game that I thought of covering, Cry of Fear. But you might know someone else that already covered that in extent.
Yeah, I was on that. I commented on that video. There's a pillar blocking it a little bit. Go back a little further. Oh, there it is. Okay, there's a little white panel there.
Oh, I see that.
Now go up the stairs.
sorry to say this, but there's nothing of value up there. Nothing at all. You're wasting your time. Nothing life-changing up there at all.
Little Stanley Parable segment here.
Well, it's actually an extended reference to Aperture Tag.
Right.
See, I told you. Mel, we need to talk. I know some cores lie really badly about things like that, but I was telling the truth. Trust me a little more, huh? Oh, and I hope you enjoyed the long walk down.
So is there anything specifically that you think this would lead to?
No, it's just a long, extended jab at the alternate ending conditions for Aperture Tag, including lifting some dialogue directly from it. So there's an extended condition near in the game where you have to go to an area behind the scenes when you're taking a bathroom break to turn off a panel which shuts the doors to the fire pit. So that's what I'm saying. Then Nigel in the game would refer to as something as, no, there's nothing life-changing up there. Now go all the way towards the back, left over there.
What is this?
Oh yeah, that is a no-draw area. Don't worry about that. You're not supposed to be over here in most cases. Just a little more to the left, near that no-draw area. Do you see a little box by the pillar?
Yes. Oh, okay. Alright. It's the little Doctor Who reference. Do you have to manually model this one, or?
I forget where that came from. LP Freaky had it. It was somewhere else originally, and then it was over there. I like it over there. You really have to hunt for it.
Can you see it from...
I think you can just barely see it if the draw distance is long enough. That's why I wanted to get you over there to see that little TARDIS.
That pretty much wraps up everything on what we talked about and what he wanted to show me. Overall, I think it was some great insight into some behind-the-scenes stuff. Some things that maybe you've heard about or seen before, but hopefully some new tidbits you didn't know. He did let me know though that there are still loads of other secrets left to be found. The game is jam-packed with them after all, so I guess if you're watching this and you have discovered something that wasn't really covered, let me know. This video was an incredible opportunity to try something new, and I can't thank Ian enough for taking the time to talk about Portal Stories Mel with me and walk me through some Easter eggs. However, do let me know what you guys thought about this video. At this point, I'd usually say I'd love to make more like this, but in this case, it's not really up to me. Either way, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Whether you're a Portal Stories Mel expert or you've never heard of the mod before. Which, if you haven't, I hope this has convinced you to give it a try, because it really is something special, even 10 years later. Yeah, anyway, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you very much for this. Appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah, gladly. I love when people are still making content about this because, you know, it happens infrequently because it's a 10-year-old game. A 10-year-old mod of a game that's now 14 years old.
There's a lot of people that will probably come back to it because of the nostalgia factor and what it did originally. So,
I'm glad we still are, because we put a lot of time and a lot of hard work into it of our own free time. But to still be acknowledged for what we did to this day, I'm still very happy with how it turned out. And the fact that we're still recognized for our contributions like this 10 years later, it was really nice.
No, congrats to you and the team, of course.
On behalf of the team, thank you.
And yeah, I'll let you go. We have a great day.
Thanks. Yep. You too.
Enjoy your coffee if you hadn't finished it. But...
I was still drinking as we were talking.
Yeah. All right.
See ya.
Have a good one.